what do you guys do outside of writing? What passions? What do you guys do? Anything you want to share? I feel like we're all somehow involved with our community, so I'm curious what you all do. Anyone want to share first?
I can start. I think one of the other reasons why my journey took so long is that I also have a full-time job. So I actually am the director of the Women's Center at Stanford. So we focus on gender, equity, identity, and justice. And I've been there at Stanford now for 20 years, which is crazy how fast time flies. But I also have a family and a daughter who's 11. She was a baby when I was also writing, so also inspired by the new child and that kind of stuff. So I actually turned down an opportunity for a promotion because I wanted to spend more time with her in this time of her life because she's never going to be in middle school again. And so that to me is my activity outside of writing and trying to have my career.
Outside of writing and drawing, I am a school teacher. I work as an associate teacher at a private school, and I'm also an art teacher as well for after school.
Cool.
And then outside of that, hobbies-wise, I really like playing like Dungeons and Dragons, and that's kind of like my story.
That's your inspiration
Trying to
right
get some of the
there.
creativity going. And then I just like watching a lot of movies, television shows, reading comic books, mangas, and so investing in a lot of stories in different mediums.
So I actually have 3 boys, so my hands are definitely full with them. Even though they're older, they have a band, so I'm always on them because the entertainment industry is really difficult sometimes. So I want to make sure that they're in check. And I also have a podcast called Future Ancestors, and it's focused on our stories, preserving our history and our culture and our stories, so that way the next generation knows that you can be a nurse, a doctor, a writer, an author, like an illustrator. I just want our next generation to know that you don't have to fit in a box.
Great spot to be in.
Yeah. So I guess outside of writing, so I also write poetry and articles in addition to children's books, and I'm also a community organizer. So what I'm trying to do is a lot of the Philippine events so far happen with mostly Philippine audience, and I'm trying to get us out of that space. So I'm coordinating mentorship programs for both visual artists as well as writers, and that's together with the Writers Guild of Alberta, like our state, as well as illustrators, Children's Illustrators Guild, so that we're not just talking among ourselves, but like actually training all these younger artists and then throwing them out there, in the world. So I do some workshops. I help them write grant applications. So most of my time I am writing grants to help all these emerging artists get their chance, and it's really, really so rewarding when they get published or they get to do a mural, and things like that.
I am by trade, I'm actually a speech language pathologist, and I work at the schools. Our whole team really came together because we all went to San Francisco State University, and we were really connected through the College of Ethnic Studies, through community organizing in the Phil-Am and Asian American studies space, and I felt like that was kind of what brought our group together to really get this project going. And then for me, as a speech therapist, literacy is super important. Using books as a tool, as a mirror to see yourself and to see your stories, and as a window and a door for other people in our community to also see us and be seen, especially here in the US. And so I feel like that was, I feel like all of our trades kind of really helped us in that foundation of getting our book out.
Outside of children's books, I am an artist.
I actually took like a 10+ year break from art to focus on my career as a graphic designer. And then when I had my daughter, I kind of went straight back into creating, painting, writing again. And so, like, first and foremost, I'm a mother of 2 now. But like the goal is for them to never know me not creating. So I always bring her along and try to make sure she understands, like, I'm pursuing my passions, and whatever her passions are, whether she finds that in the books, like she feels mirrored in that she reads, then perfect. As long as they're pursuing what they are passionate about.
Thank you for sharing. So I'm gonna open up to the floor. Do you guys have any questions to ask us? I was gonna, okay.
Oh, this one. I was like this one.
Hi. So I'm in the process also of editing my first children's book. So I'm curious about like the traditional pathway versus self-publishing, and also do you connect with mother tongue advocates back home, because like that's one thing that I'm figuring out how to straddle, because I just got here from Cebu, so we mostly publish there, mostly are printing there, but I'm trying to figure out if I even want to bring the books here, and what would that look like if we brought the books here, because it's like bilingual.
Who self-published?
I did.
Yeah, self-published.
Both.
So
Yeah, both.
Both? Okay. So my experience, I wanted to go to self-publishing route because I kind of, the type A in me wants everything specific, and I wanted a specific quality. Like, I wanted all to say in my book, and I wanted to look, I mean, I didn't want to be, not to say I'm selfish, but I want it my way. And I wanted to call all the shots. And I didn't want someone to be like, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, because I wanted a specific way, and I wanted it on my own timeline. And I didn't want it to take, I know with the traditional way, like if, back then, like I did not want it to go it that way, and my goal for the book was not to be on Amazon, was not to be in Barnes & Noble, it was just to connect with my community. And so people are like, why is it not on Amazon? I'm like, that's not my goal, is not to be on Amazon, not to be in Barnes & Noble, because I want to support indie bookstores. I want to support these small spaces because that's where my community is. And for you, when you ask if there's a space for you to bring your books here, definitely. There are so many spaces here, even just in San Francisco, there's so many spaces. It's a matter of who your connections you make and who you talk to make that available. So I say yes, bring it here. We can connect too. I know, Faith, you did the publishing, the traditional route. Do you want to share your experience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, because I have a full-time job, I think that was the other part of it. I had limited time to be able to promote and bring the book out, and I also wanted it to be published by a traditional publisher. I was very lucky in that it was HarperCollins who picked it up, and the illustrator is also Filipina. She's Christine Almeida. She's also from New Jersey. She's incredibly talented, and I was in a process that was actually really supportive. So my editor at Harper was an advocate for books, API authors, and her husband's Filipino, so it kind of helped because she's seen the Balikbayan boxes, and she gave me a little more leeway in terms of how it goes, but it is a long process. I wrote this in 2021 and got that deal in 2021, and it just came out in 2024. So, there are definitely ups and downs, It wasn't necessarily that I wanted it to be in like Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, but I also was like, you know what, if I'm gonna put this out to the world, I would love to have a wide reach, and so that's part of the reason why I did it that way.
Do you want You want to share?
Yeah, so we actually also self-published, but we like to say that we were community published.
Yes, because you did a Kickstarter.
We did, exactly a year ago. We launched our Kickstarter on October 18th of last year. We had been in the process of writing the book for, maybe like 2 years or so, but we were like, okay, we have this great idea, but we weren't really in the book spaces with publishers, and so we didn't know how to get it out there. And once Marielle joined our team, she had also done a Kickstarter, so we started our Kickstarter, and the amount of love and support that we got for our book was bigger than anything that we expected it to be, and it just like really affirmed that these stories are really needed out there for our communities. There's people out there looking for those stories, and who else is going to support you but your own community, right? And so we really felt like this is a labor of love that was really supported by our communities and was able to be here in fruition because of them.
For me, I went with more of the traditional publishing. And the way I got into that was during like the pandemic. There was this like website called Meetup, and it was kind of a place where you kind of just like meet and talk with people that have similar likes or interests. And I decided that I want to put myself out there and like work with people or just even talk about my process. And there was one where it was specifically about writing books. And through that, I would show them like what I was working on, and I get feedback on what I can improve on or what things I can include, and then I would progress through that. And through that, that's where I actually met my agent. And we actually, when we first published the book, we were trying to shop it around, and we decided let's just make the book. And so technically not really self-published because it was published through him, but it was definitely a smaller outlet. And then, but through that we were able to shop it around a bit more through my agent, and that's how we got into with my publisher right now, Baker and Taylor Paw Prints. And I would say that it's the trade-off with being in a traditional publishing is that there are the edits to the book. Like my original cover art for this book right here had the main character saying to the duende, because he's fed up with the duende, saying "Bastos," and I was like, that's funny, and I would show it to my cousins and Filipino friends, and they'd be like, that's a great idea. And then I showed it to the publisher, and they're like, no, because it looked a little bit too similar to a negative word in English. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick and choose my battles. This isn't a battle that I'm willing to stand and die for. So, but luckily my agent is a great advocate for my book, and also the publishers are really big on promoting that diversity. So I would manage to keep almost all my ideas. But every now and then there's certain ones where you have to pick whether or not you're oh no, this matters to the story, and then the other ones you kind of have to let go and learn which battles to pick.
Any other questions? Do you want to add to it?
I just wanted to say another option is you can start your own publishing company. So that's what I did for my book, because similar to you, I wanted it to be done my own way. I didn't want anyone to tell me how to write our stories. And for future authors, I didn't realize that there were other Filipino publishing companies out there. But so that is also something that you can do. It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it because you get to keep it genuine to your story and what you want to do.
Okay, so I did both. So I've self-published as well as traditional publishing. Before, because I'm much older than everyone else, there wasn't really a lot of success in self-publishing, so I had to go to the traditional way. But so it's very, very hard, as I mentioned, I got a lot of rejection. But so there are also some advantages with going traditional, one of my book made it to the biggest book fair, which is the Frankfurter Book Messe, in Germany. And then the other book won an award in the Singapore children's book. So like having those in your resume, I guess, writer resume, like opens you up to like other publishers, and then gets you out there, right? So you're not just limited to, and then you also need to do all the promotions and all the stuff for if you self-publish. I think that's my experience anyway, and I'm not very savvy with that, and I don't know how to do it. I don't have the time, but I self-published because the traditional publisher, I'm not an artist, right? So, and then they sometimes they choose from the pool of illustrators they have, and then you lose kind of control of like your vision, right? Like I saw this page being like this, and then it's totally different. So I self-published 2 books because I wanted my sister to illustrate it, and she's not in the roster of any of the big traditional publishers, and so we wanted to do books together. So there's both good and bad, I think, in both routes, and I think right now self-publishing is really, really good path, but not before. Like it was just harder, I think, during my time.